A 10-year-old cancer survivor was among the president's special guests at last night's State of the Union.
Tonight, I am also asking you to join me in another fight that all Americans can get behind, the fight against childhood cancer. Grace was diagnosed with brain cancer. At the same time, she rallied her community and raised more than $40,000 for the fight against cancer.
How great is that? And Grace Eline joins us right now from our nation's capital. Grace, good morning to you. We know you were up late last night. What was it like sitting in the balcony next to the First Lady of the United States?
It was very cool because, I've always looked up to her, and to be, right next to her, that was pretty amazing.
Grace, you have quite a story. The president talked about when you were 4 years old. There you are waving to the crowd. You're famous now. The president was talking about how when you were 4 years old, you were raising money for St. Jude to help other children, and then you were diagnosed with cancer. Tell us about your story.
So, basically what happened was I was just drinking a lot of water, and then, my mom told my doctor, but he said that it was, nothing. And then, so at least a year later, so that happened in first grade, and then in second grade, my growth started to slow down. So then that's when that's when the pediatrician got suspicious, because that doesn't usually happen. So then he sent us to an endocrine who thought that I had diabetes, but she sent us for an MRI, and she didn't think that she would find a mass in my brain. So then immediately after that, I began chemotherapy, so I had 4 rounds of chemo, and then I had 24 rounds of proton radiation.
Yeah. And then the president last night told the end of your story, where you, there at St. Jude's, you put up a great big poster on a very special day. And what, Grace, did the poster say?
It said, "Last day of chemo."
And how important was that to you and your family?
That was very important, because I feel like chemo was definitely the hard part after, all the days where everybody was sad and where I didn't feel good. Yeah. So to hang that up to show that I was done with it, that made me feel really good.
Well, that was a very, very special day, probably one of the best days of your life, but last night was pretty special too. What was it like when you heard the President of the United States of America say your name and introduce you to that crowd?
It was really cool, because he's the president, and, for him to just talk about me, that's, pretty cool. It's not everybody, yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Grace, had you ever seen a State of the Union before on TV or anything?
I've seen, parts of it. Throughout the years, I've seen a bunch of my family watch it. I've only seen a few parts of it.
And how important is it to kids like you that the president announced his initiative last night to get the Congress to fund the search for the cure for childhood cancers to the tune of $500 million?
I think it's pretty amazing that he would do that, because, it makes me feel really good that people would just take their time and try and help more people. I think that that's pretty amazing.
Well, Grace, you're helping a lot of people. Thank you so much for being so brave. We wish you all the best. God has big plans for your life, honey. You're 10 years old. You're from Gillette, New Jersey. You have an 8-year-old brother. Godspeed. We wish you all the best, honey.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.